Okay, time for another Nerdy Virgin podcast. Yay, yay, it's the podcast. That's my opening theme song. I'm walking, going on my evening constitutional as I'm doing this. I just don't feel like... I was sitting all day. I don't want to sit and podcast. I want to be active while podcasting. I feel like Batman would podcast actively while he was walking around. I don't think he would sit in the cave and do it. He probably would invest a bit more time into better audio, especially if he was out and about. I bet he could podcast while fighting crime, which would be truly fantastic. In fact, I would even argue that I think the only reason why he got Robin as a sidekick is because he's just having Robin record everything he's saying to Robin, and then they just release it as a podcast. I really think that's I think Robin's really not so much a sidekick as he is the engineer. He's the one, cutting out clips, putting it up on, putting the 1-minute clips up on TikTok to generate those views. But I cut my own hair for the first time. That happened, and it was. It's. I got to be honest with you. I've managed to take this and transform it into a life or death scenario. A life or death event. So, every year I would just go and get it buzzed, and I was talking with some other folks. All guys, I should point out, saying, yeah, I do it myself. I have clippers, I do it myself. Put down a trash bag, do it myself. And I was like, you know what? I'm feeling self-reliant. If they can do it, I can do it. As Anthony Hopkins said in the movie The Edge, what one man can do, another man can do. So I buy these shears, these clippers. Is it a clipper? I don't even know the name of the thing I used on my head, which could explain why what happened potentially happened. So, I get the thing. I proceed to buzz my head. And you know what? It's going rather well. It's starting to look okay. I feel like I'm getting the hang of it. And then I take off the little extension thing. I always use a number 3. That's the length I want for my hair. So I took off the number 3 extension thing because I was going to work on my sideburns. And I finished working on the sideburns, and I said, that top could use a little tweaking. And I ran it through the top, but I forgot to put the extension back on. So I suddenly had this bald streak in the center of my forehead, basically. Straight down the back, looked like I had a runway suddenly on my head. And I said to myself, well, I guess I'm shaving my head now. I guess the die has been cast. There was no way to work around it. No way to incorporate it into the overall milieu of what I had going there. So I ended up basically shaving my head. And then I notice as I'm looking at the back, trying to figure out the back, that there's a red spot. And I can't tell. It did bleed a little bit when I picked at it. And I can't tell if it was me cutting myself or if it was a direct result of shaving my head, or if this is like a mole or something that I need to go get checked and I have 2 weeks to live. And so now I'm basically in panic mode and am debating whether or not to go and just go to the doctor. And that's what happens when I try to cut my own hair. Now, if I had gone to somebody and they had discovered this when they cut it, they would have said, hey, you should get that checked. And if there wasn't anything there, then they would probably have not cut my head like I did. And that's where we're at right now. I got to be honest, it's a little refreshing to be worried about this. I felt like I was worried about coronavirus stuff for a long time. It was the same thing to worry about. It's nice to change up the worrying. It's nice for a change of pace. I feel good about that. And other than that, life has been somewhat uneventful. I'm now walking at night, and my head is shaved, which means I'm now freezing. My head is now cold. And that's all right. I've been told I look like I'm going into the military, and I think that I should qualify that with I from the neck up I look like I'm going into the military. From the neck down, I look like I'm about to be defeated by the military. If I don't think I'm gonna help the military at this point in any way. Even the bugling, I think they'd be like, I don't think he could manage it. I'll just go straight from recruiting to dishonorable discharge. Just the 1-2 punch. Pregnant pause. This is how out of shape I am. I've been barely walking. I've been walking for what? 6 minutes. This is me after 6 minutes. Yeah, the military is not going to be using me for much. So now, the thing my mother always taught me, whenever there's an ailment, she always said, wait 2 weeks. And if it gets better, then great. If it doesn't get better, then go see a doctor. So this is day 1 of this spot on the back of my head that I probably gave myself. I don't want to go to the hospital right now. I mean, COVID is still high, and I don't want to catch it there. And here's the other thing, and I don't know, maybe I'm being a little crazy about this, but I currently have Kaiser, and I have not heard good things. And like the one person who recommended Kaiser to me, I'm going to be 100% honest with you, the one person who recommended Kaiser to me looked awful. I hate to say it, but looked like, oh boy, not the fine specimen of humanity. So, and I'm thinking about it, and I'm saying to myself, but then again, have I heard anything good about any of these places or any of these insurance companies? I've nothing. I mean, the other one I know of, the one I used to be on was Anthem Blue Cross. I wasn't thrilled with them. Maybe they're all bad. Nobody is going around. I feel like no one in my life is going around saying, this medical insurance company, this is amazing. This place not only saved my life, but they fixed my car. They paid me for me to feel better. No, I don't hear that anywhere. So maybe I just gotta just jump in and hope that all goes well. I'm turning 40 this year. I should just go get a checkup anyway, just to look under the hood. Well, half the time my fear is, they'll find something. They will always find something. They'll always find a reason for me to be on something. And it's just the balance between knowing, okay, are they doing this because they can make a buck, or are they doing this because if I don't change my ways, I'm going to be dead in 2 days? Which of the two is it? I want to be honest with you, and I'm feeling really good about this podcast right now. I like where we're going here. I feel like this has been an eventful few minutes. I feel like we're covering a lot of ground. See, it's better when I walk. I used to do it when I drove. Even that was better. I like walking when I'm doing this. I'm kind of in a hushed voice because it's 9 o'clock at night. I don't want to be podcasting at the top of my lungs in the neighborhood. That'll get me on the whatever the neighborhood watch thing is, Facebook community or whatever it is. I'm wearing a trench coat. People are like, "What is he flashing?" No, worse, podcasting. Oh my God! Call the police. Well, we call the police, but they're busy. They're doing a podcast. Gah. This is going so well, I almost want to stop it now. I don't want to blow it. I feel like we have a good thing going, you and I. And I just, maybe it's better to cut it early, end on a high note, instead of just, rambling and have you go, yeah, you know what? The first few minutes were good, but then I tuned away. Walking by, somebody just installed a new fence. Do you want to talk about that? This is the Burbank podcast. Very eventful. We're talking about a new fence on this house here at the Burbank podcast. How are we feeling about the fence? Do you want to take calls? Yeah, I think it's frankly, I think it's a little bit too nouveau. Ooh, I just heard... Is that a hawk? I think I heard a hawk. Or some kind of bird of prey. The hawk is also podcasting. That's what they're doing. They're not afraid to do it at night. Good for them. Can I say something? Not that you could interrupt me. I miss the old cars. I feel like new cars now. I don't like any of them. Is this me being old? Pining for the good old days? Yeah, but I'm gonna go there. I feel like all of the cars today, they look like what the future was supposed to be, but on a budget. Like, this is the car of the future, but we had about a third of the budget to do it. Like, this should be a flying car. Like, it looks like it could be a flying car, like a Prius. It looks like it could almost be a flying car. But then we found out that we don't know how to do that, or it's too expensive to do that, or too dangerous. It's like our impression of the future, but not really the future, or not the future we wanted. This is not the future I wanted. I think about all the movies I watched growing up. I wanted Star Trek. That's the future I want. This is, this is RoboCop 2. That's the future we're in right now. RoboCop 2 was turns out to be a science fiction movie and the truth. RoboCop 2 is no longer a science fiction. The RoboCop franchise is no longer a science fiction franchise. We have to reclassify it. It's it's almost historical fiction at this point. Crazy, simply crazy. Well, my goals this year, I'm trying to be a lot more productive. I'm trying to be a lot more productive this year. And so I want to record an album. Actually, I want to shoot a special. But I want to do it in the Yoo-Hoo room. And I want to do it in black and white. And somehow, I know that what I finally realized is that I finally realized the energy level that I want it to be. because if I think I've got two modes. I've got low energy Josh and high energy Josh. And high energy Josh works when it's engaged and honest. And low energy Josh is, I don't know, okay, but just not as fun. It's not as exciting. And so I'm not saying that I want to, scream my way through the whole special. I'm not really interested in that, but I do want it to feel organic. So I'll watch specials and they'll feel too rehearsed. And if I can see that it's rehearsed, then it takes me out of it. Now, on the other hand, the big problem that I'm faced with is if I'm going to record a special, it should be I should be rehearsing it or, doing the same amount of time I'm going to do when I'm actually shooting it. So actually, what the idea that gives me is that I should do, maybe it should just be a 20-minute thing. Because you know what? I just want to release it on YouTube. And all the comedians are releasing it on YouTube now. I don't want to try to sell it. Why? Nobody, I'll sell it when I have something to, when someone will pay me for it. But at this point, I'd rather release it on YouTube and just, get the views on it and get likes and what have you. I really think I've got to view myself as, or the way I'm trying to attack my life right now is do what I would do if I were already rich and famous and put it out there and not worry about the result. And, do the best job I can, but instead of waiting around to do the special now, get it out there, and whatever happens, happens. So I'm doing that, and I'm writing a novel. Like last year I thought I'm only going to dedicate myself to doing stand-up, which I did, and I'm realizing that I feel better when I'm working on more than one thing at the same time. And I think the reason why I wanted to focus only on the stand-up was I was afraid that if I was doing too much, I would do a bunch of things not well. And I guess what I learned is I would rather do a bunch of things not well than do one thing fairly well and be depressed. Because if I do a bunch of things, the busier I am, the less time I have to be depressed. So I would rather just be busy. And so that's my plan. And we'll see how that goes. We will see how that goes. And maybe trying to let go a little bit too. Even, when I get up to perform, I don't even like to say the word perform. I learned this from Dave, comedian and teacher Dave Reititz, who said, don't call it your act, don't call it a performance. It's a conversation. Like what I'm doing right now with 1 to 12 people. So that's when I'm having a conversation, and the more that I can do that, the set always goes better when I can really approach it from that direction. Because then it's a little less important that I get the jokes right or that they work, and it's more important that I'm genuinely having an experience with the people in front of me. Kind of like life. Well, I'm not sure if any of that was funny, but hopefully it was somewhat engaging. That's the hope. We should talk about Boba Fett Should we talk about Boba Fett? Let's talk about Boba Fett. I've never been so engrossed with the show that is as entertaining as it is devoid of anything actually happening. I enjoy the show. I enjoy the Book of Boba Fett. I enjoy the acting. I enjoy the writing. The production value is fantastic. I think that... Should I say this? I don't want to offend. Okay, so Boba Fett and Mandalorian are known for using this new kind of technology. I think it's called the Unreal Engine. And the idea is that they can actually, in real time, project on a big background screen the background of the scene. So if they're walking around in the desert, on the set, they actually have the desert on a giant screen in the background that looks so convincing and so real. And they can actually film the shot. They can actually film take a camera and film the actors in front of that screen showing the desert, and it looks real. And it's amazing technology because I think they can go a lot faster. They don't have to try to take the actor out and put it in post or whatever. And all that's fantastic. And it really is good. That said, I can still kind of tell that it's a screen. I mean, I hate to nitpick. What am I saying? I love to nitpick. I absolutely love to nitpick. I love to nitpick. But you know what? It doesn't matter. What the special effects, as good as they are, what matters is ultimately is the story. And it's a great story. It is also, however, moving at an incredibly slow pace. The first 4 episodes involve Boba Fett hiring people. That's the plot. He's hiring people. Boba Fett is going up to people and saying, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" "Yeah, we have dental." That's what's going on. "No, we pay half the health insurance. You pay the other half of the health insurance." That's what's happening with former bounty hunter and new daimyo of Tatooine, Boba Fett. Yeah, 401k, sure, after 6 months. Yeah, whatever you need. And then in this last episode, we saw The Mandalorian, and it was pretty much all about The Mandalorian in this last episode. And we're like, oh, The Mandalorian, okay, this is going to be, pulse-pounding excitement. This is going to be a show that, yes, it's in space, but it harkens back to the Sergio Leone westerns where so much of it is about building tension. And in the episode, it's basically the Mandalorian goes shopping. That's what this episode is. The Mandalorian runs errands. He gets something for Grogu. Now, of course, am I being hyperbolic? Yes, there are action sequences, etc., etc. But the vibe of it feels very much... he goes on a bounty, but it's to find the location of the other Mandalorians. And it just feels to me like he's in a mall going, okay, I am here. I think the other Mandalorians there's the symbol, right? Okay, there it is. And he's running errands. And that's fine. It was, again, very well done. The show is fine. The show is great. But it is also moving very slow. We're 6 episodes in. Let's get to it. We're staffed up now. Let's see some action, and hopefully that'll start to happen in episode 7, where hopefully it's now action and not the orientation. They bring everyone in. They fill out paperwork. It's just an hour of people filling out paperwork. That's the whole episode. Well acted and just incredibly compelling. I watched it. It almost feels like Star Wars as written by Samuel Beckett. That's what this feels like to me. If Sam Beckett were to take a Star Wars franchise, Waiting for Grogu, that's what we can call it. See, aren't you glad you stuck around for that tag of Waiting for Grogu? There it is. That's the whole reason If any of you are still listening at this point, that's why you waited to listen. That's what you got. That's where you're at with it. 25 minutes in, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling if I can do a decent 25 to 30 minute podcast, that's about enough. I was trying to do an hour, too much. Maybe one day. Okay, so here, health update. As I'm walking now, my sinuses, like my temples, are beginning to. There's like the pressure, and I'm freaking out about this. This means I'm going to take 9 rapid COVID tests. That's what this means. Actually, I'm gonna go get a drive-through test. I've been testing so much. The sniffle, I believe, is from the cold, not from the death plague. Death plague was not hyperbolic. Death plague was redundant. Has there ever been a life plague? Yeah, I caught this disease and suddenly I can see better. I think not. I think not, my friends. I think not. I'm worried about this sudden sinus pressure thing. I think it's because I've been out in the cold. I've also been tightening my jaw. I think for dinner I'm going to have more cod. I bought a bunch of frozen cod, enough frozen cod to be not satisfied for the foreseeable future. I should make vegetables. I'm probably just going to throw the cod in tomato sauce. Bury the cod in tomato sauce. That's my cookbook. If I were to write a cookbook, so you're making cod. Step 1, heat the cod. Step 2, bury it in tomato sauce. Step 3, never try to eat a piece of cod without tomato sauce being nearby. If you do that, it's your funeral. That's even the name of the recipe. Cod buried in tomato sauce. Step 4, if you're really smart, add sugar. Just add sugar. And salt. Add them both. Uh-oh. I think the dog knows I'm podcasting. It's not happy about the podcasting. You don't podcast in my neighborhood. Who told you that you could podcast in my neighborhood? Can I tell you what I really want? I want a pizza. I've been eating pizzas the last couple of days. I know I shouldn't. It's not good for me, but I could go for a pizza. I could try to make my own pizza. I don't want to. No. Let's see the disaster that befell me when cutting my own hair. Let's not do the pizza. I think I'm going to do a virtual show on the 13th of February, assuming I'm not dead. That was morbid. What a morbid way to end the podcast. It's an obsessive-compulsive thing. If I say I'm assuming I'm not dead, I'm hoping that the universe will go, okay, we'll keep you alive so that you can suffer more. I think that's how the universe works. All right, we're good. This is good. I'm done. One more thing, and here's the thing. I just want to keep talking. I want to get to 30 minutes. It's a 28 minutes and 48 seconds. This is the obsessive compulsive in me. I just want to know that I can get, if I get to 30, I'll feel better. So, how do I wrap this up? I got the 1 minute light. I'm giving myself the 1 minute light. How am I going to wrap this up? Well, now that I know I need to wrap it up, well, you know what? I'm trying to teach myself a little bit of coding, understanding how our website works and the PHP, and I'm learning about the MySQL database. And the first thing I have to learn is how to spell MySQL. It's, I believe, MySQL. But I believe it is pronounced MySQL as if it was spelled SEQUEL. And I don't know where the name of it comes from. I should research that. But every time I say MySQL, I feel like I'm talking about Highlander 2. What have they done to MySQL? What have they done to MySQL? But I'm learning how to, I'm learning how a database is organized or in our case, mildly disorganized. And I'm learning how to go in and edit it, edit the database, which is, and I think the odd thing about it is that it's so frustrating to learn how it works. It takes my mind off of all my other stresses. So in a weird way, coding and learning all that is for me kind of a meditation. It's a terrible kind of meditation because it really only leads to more stress. It leads me to have to go and meditate. But similar to this situation where I feel like I have to go for at least 30 minutes. I can't stop at 28 minutes and 45 seconds. I'm feeling the same kind of thing with the once I need to figure something out, I can't stop until I figure it out. I get very obsessive. Okay, it's 30 minutes and 30 minutes and 59 seconds, and I'm really starting to aggravate the dogs, so I better stop.